This episode of the Marty Mariner Show is brought to you by Body Men Therapies. If you haven't visited Angela at Body Men Therapies yet, well, as they say, what are you doing with your life? I got to experience this myself last week. Honestly, I turned up feeling about $3.50 and walked out there feeling $1,000,000. It is absolutely sensational. You will not regret it for a second. All of the details of how to contact Ange will be in the links below. And well, Christmas coming up very, very shortly. And well, they do gift certificates. You can actually do this for your better half. And will you be in the good books or what come this festive season? So get in quick. The bookings go so quickly, so you have to get in fast. Make sure you check them out. Body Men Therapies, sponsor of today's episode. Welcome back to the Marty Mariner Show. And how exciting is it? We are just days away from the kickoff of the Ninja A-League season. And who better to talk to than our own gaffer, our head coach of our women's team, Emily Husband. Em, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a really, really good preseason, and we've faced some really good opposition, and yeah, we're building a really good style of play. So yeah, really happy. Thank you.
Absolutely not. Bring it on. Cannot wait. It's just like Christmas come a couple of months early for me, but I can't wait for it. Look, before we just kick ahead and have a bit of a look at the season coming up, just a reflection back on last year. I'm imagining the preseason this year is a hell of a lot different to the preseason that you had last year, creating a team and putting one together. I guess it's been a lot different this year.
Yeah, definitely. I think having that spine of the group already here and in training and understanding what it is that the Mariners are about and what we want to create here definitely helps. And then to add the quality that we've added and the great personalities as well, the group, I couldn't speak higher of the group really. So yeah, really, really proud of what we've done so far in pre-season, and it's a good position to be in as a coach, coming in and having that spine of the group, keeping our captain and a big part of our leadership group as well
Mm.
to continue working on what it is that what direction we'd like to go. So
Yeah.
yeah, really, really happy and very, very different to last year.
Absolutely. And I guess it would have been a lot more on the field this year because last year, I mean, it was a brand new team. There's the excitement of, bringing this to the club and introducing everyone to everybody. This year, it must be great. Football. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a huge football focus this year for the group, and we wanted to make sure that we got stuck in there early about the areas that we wanted to address from last year and improve on last year as well. Because as well as we did, obviously there's still huge areas of improvement, and that's what I love about the group that I work with is that every single one of them understand that what it is that we're trying to do. We want to continue to improve, and we're not the finished article, and we're far from it. And we want to make sure that we can compete with every single team in the league. And there was, teams last year that we didn't take points off of, and we want to make sure that we rectify that this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, just reflecting back, because I thought there was a time last year, and I know we were building some really good momentum. Like it just seemed to be that every game we were picking up a little bit. Can you take that the positives from that momentum that we built? And you mentioned that the spine, a lot of the team is the same again. Can we just transfer that over and say, look, this is what we did last year? Yet we're a little bit different in personnel, but this is what we can do.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I think that's probably what our main focus was this year in the off season is building on what we built last year. And, when you keep the likes, of an Ashley Irwin, a Taryn King, and I know Tazzie's obviously out at the moment, but when she comes back, she'll have a massive impact. Keeping your key midfielders like a Bianca Galic and an Izzy Gomez, and then having some really, really exciting prospects up top in Razzie and Peter.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic base to build from, and ultimately it's kind of like, you've got your bit of bread there, you've got you've got your bit of topping on, and you've got your cheese on top of your pizza, and now it's just about adding whatever toppings on top of that cheesy pizza that ultimately
Absolutely.
comes down to it, and
Absolutely.
that's what we've done this year. And I think
Yeah.
when I look at our preseason so far, everybody's added to it in so many different aspects. We've got different personalities coming through, we've got different qualities coming through. And I think there's a lot of things that we will continue to build on from last year. And I've been honest with the girls from day one. It's all about for us being better in possession and with the ball.
Yeah. Because that was the thing. I know it was a frustration last year that there were games where we had possession, we dominated games, and we just didn't make the most of those chances, and then would concede or would battle and stuff like that. I mean, I know we've had some great additions across the park, but has that been one thing for you? That last third of the field is that we've just got to put those chances away, right?
Yeah, look, and I think ultimately football's always going to be a bit of a cat and mouse situation, right? You're going to have the situations where some games you dominate and you feel that you've created the chances and you're worthy of a win. And we've experienced this throughout pre-season as well, where we've absolutely dominated games, we've created chances, but we've not really finished them off versus games where we've probably not played as well, and we're probably, I guess, a lesser of opponent, but we've come out with a win and we've ground it out. So I do feel that our performance so far in pre-season is very similar to what it will be in the season. And you always want, I think, as a coach, you strive to make sure that you have the complete performance along with the result, along with good individual performances as well. And unfortunately, it's not often you have games like that. You kind of end up with a little bit of a mix and match of everything. And like I said, that little bit of a cat and mouse situation. And do you want to play well or do you want to score goals, or do you want to score goals and not play well?
Yeah.
And for me, I'd love to have a mixture of both, but ultimately, our main focus is on winning games, and that's what we've done in pre-season so far. Even when we've not played well, is we've found ways to win, which has been really, really promising. And I'm just so ready and excited for this for the first round, to be honest.
You and me both. As I said before, it's just like Christmas for me, but Christmas is less exciting. What did Emily Husband, the coach, learn last year?
Oh, she learnt a lot, a lot. It's amazing when you're put in that sort of position. The first things I think I reflect upon is number one, the way in which I speak to players. And I don't mean that in the way in which I give information. It's more about my demeanor when I do speak to players, making sure that it's a pretty neutral tone, and that they receive the information and they're not affected by in which way it's given to them. I think number two is continuing to build on the personal relationships. I think I've got good relationships with a good bulk of the team, but it's making sure that I get to know the rest of our group now just as well. And I think players sometimes underestimate just how much a coach genuinely cares about them, because you do grow to care about every single player, regardless of what part within your team you play. And it's funny because at the within our I guess little office in the players group, players lounge at the moment, we have a big poster that says family and with the Central Coast Mariners badge. And right now there's photos from last year, this year, the office, the men's. There's photos of every single aspect, and you want to make sure that you build the relationships with the entire club and outside of that, your own group as well.
Yep.
And genuinely, even the players that aren't with us again this year, I still care a lot about them, and I still want the best for them, and for them to continue to develop in their own individual ways and in their own careers. It's not ever that you ever stop caring about a player. You always want the best for them. That's why you're in the job that you're in.
Sure.
But yeah, I think for me, the biggest learnings were taken away just in the way in which you give feedback, and who you give feedback to and how often as well.
Yeah.
And just continuing to get better at that. I don't think as a coach I'll ever feel that I'll ever be in the perfect sweet spot. I think I'll always want to have that drive to continue and improve. And you
Yeah.
know what, last year is my first year as a head coach. I think I did okay, but I've got a lot of areas to improve upon as well.
Well, I think you won about 3,000 Coach of the Month awards and stuff like that too. So it was pretty much seen across the board. And what about the competition itself? I mean, obviously, I mean, you sort of knew a lot of the players that were playing in the league. You're sort of fairly aware of what was going on, but the actual competition itself, did anything surprise you out of the actual competition itself?
Not really. I think I've always known how close the A-League women's can be. Like it's such a tight competition, and it comes down to such small, minor decisions and parts of the games and moments. That I always knew that the A-League women's was close. I think last year was probably closer than particularly normal. Um, but when you've got whether it's the goat of Michelle Heyman you're coming up against next one week, or Matilda's in the multiple victory
Yeah,
players that we've got, and there's quality within every single A-League women's club, and so you've always got to be aware of that, and you're always got half an eye on that, and that's part of what you obviously you're preparing for at the same time as
mm,
trying to prepare your team the best that they can do. So I genuinely think it's probably one of the most exciting leagues in the world to be a part of because it is so close, and everyone is competitive, and you can surprise anybody on their day as long as you get things right and things go your way. And I think like I said, in football, it can go one of a couple of ways, right?
yeah,
You've got to get the moments, you've got to get the decisions. Things have got to go right in your day, but at the same time, in the opposite direction, if you get a couple of decisions against you, momentum goes against you, and players' heads drop, the result can go against you, and you get a couple of those things can go the opposite way. So a massive part of again everything that we're doing is all about how girls attack the game and what our mentality is around it and the type of environment that we want to breed in order to allow players to flourish and be better and grow in confidence regardless of the external factors.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, referees are always on our side. I mean, we never get decisions go against us, Sam. I don't know what you're talking about. It was a perfect season last year. Um, just touching on that with what you said before about, we've got existing players. We brought some new players in, which we'll catch up on a bit in a sec. But as a coach, is it just that combination of this is how I want to play the game? This is what I've established last year. These guys are coming in, but they also bring their own attributes. I guess it's just finding that balance, isn't it, of what you can stay with, but then again, what needs to change with these new guys?
Yeah, absolutely. And you always think when you recruit players, you recruit them for a purpose. You recruit them because they bring something that maybe you're either missing last year, or you believe that they could bring that might be a little bit different to what you already have.
Yeah,
So that's a massive part of obviously your off-season review and recruitment. And I think we've brought some really quality coming into this season, and we're not quite done yet. It's been a funny off season in a lot of senses, and a lot of it has become unexpected. But I'm also super proud of the group that I have added to, the spine that we already had because I think one of the things I value most in the player is having a good human, somebody who cares so much more about the game and the team and the club above themselves. And I genuinely think we've got a really good balance of that in our women's team this year.
yeah, absolutely. And when you're talking to the potential players coming into the club, I mean, obviously, again, you've had a taste of it from last year. You know what the community's like, the club and all that sort of stuff. When the players talk to you, do they bring up about the fact, what is it for them that attracts to the Central Coast? Apart from your coaching, of course, and we'll take that as a given. But what else do they say? What attracts them to come here?
No, I think the biggest thing for most players is the culture that we've created, and I can only put that on the players that have stayed with us and that I obviously brought in last year because they're the ones that have helped create that culture. I don't genuinely believe that that's on me. I hand on heart believe that that's the players that I've got around me, and I'm so lucky to have those players. And I think they're the ones within the changing room that even though that's the type of culture you want to breed, they're the ones who actually live it and bring it. So I think that's a massive part of our recruitment is that players from other teams see what it is that we have. Like we had a couple of players comment who have come from other clubs last year, comment on when they saw us turn up as a team, they actually looked at us and we looked like a real team who backed each other and had each other's backs and wanted to play for each other as a part, as opposed to having the individualism. and they were kind of, in a sense, a little bit jealous of that. So I think that's a massive part of our recruitment. But I think outside of that, when I look at what the fans bring to us, looking last year, we had one of the biggest crowds of the whole entire season. Our first round against Newcastle Jets of almost 6,500. That's incredible, and it speaks volumes about the type of fans that we have here on the coast. And all I can continue to ask from our fans is that they keep spreading the word, keep bringing their friends, keep bringing their family, and because the more people that we have behind us, backing us, the better we will be for it, and the better we'll play, and the more the results will come. Because you look at what the amends achieved last year,
Yeah.
and the fans that backed them. It was just an incredible atmosphere to be a part of, and I don't think there's one person in the Industry Group Stadium against that game against Melbourne Victory in the grand final that weren't there in just absolute awe of what had been created from such a small part of New South Wales, where our population, we don't have a massive population to pull from, but that's what we created as the Central Coast. And I think that for me is a massive part of being a Mariner too. And I think that's a big part of what I try to sell as well, is that we're massive, we're one big family. We always back each other. And even, that was the men's, and the men's want to see the academy do well. The academy want to see the women's do well. The women's want to see the men's do well. The men's want to see the women's do well. Everyone's just there sort of getting around each other, and genuinely always wanting the best for each other as well. Yeah, it's such a great family to be a part of.
No, absolutely. Okay, you've talked it in. You've talked me into it, mate. I'll be there for the first game. You've talked me into it now.
There
I'm
you
convinced.
go. I've got
I'm
my
convinced.
first fan.
Long time fan, mate. Long time fan. You mentioned before too that I still remember that first game against Newcastle. I know we spoke last year about the occasion might have got to the girls a bit because it was big. It was a big crowd. It was the first game for the Mariners back in the league, and it was this time we're playing Sydney, which isn't such a. I mean, it's a different game because obviously we played them in the last game of the season last year too. But it's for a lot of them first game out at Industry Group Stadium. What learnings do we take from that first game last year that we take into this one?
Oh, look, I think we'll be in a completely different place this year. Like you say, there's a lot of last year players
Hmm,
that started in that starting 11 who'd never played
yeah,
in front of a crowd that big before in their lives. This year, we're coming off the back of that, and our predominant starting 11 will have already been through that experience. So they're ready. They're ready and raring and go to go. And we played Western Sydney Wanderers yesterday at Industry Group, so it was good to get a feel for the field
yeah,
and spend a bit of time getting to know our distances and things like that.
yeah,
So in that respect, I feel like we are very, very prepared this year.
yeah,
For us, the opposition doesn't matter. For me, I genuinely look at Sydney FC as just another 11 players out on a pitch. I have no gripe against Sydney FC. I genuinely, they're just another club to me. It's not like the F3 derby where something's on the line and you've got that sort of chipping tool. Obviously, in a derby, you always want to win, and you want to. I'm not saying that we don't want to win against Sydney FC, but I think there's always an extra little bit of pride that's on the line when it comes to playing against Newcastle. Whereas for us, Sydney FC, it might be whatever, regardless of the result. I'm not expecting us to be the complete team and have a complete performance ready for round one. I think last year we actually really hit the sweet spot, and this is a massive part of down to our medical and S&C, where we built and built and built to that mid part of the season, and we ended so strongly because the girls were fit, they were feeling good, we were covering good ground, we were making good decisions. We built to that midpoint of the season.
yeah,
For me, our season isn't going to be made or broken by a result against Sydney FC on the weekend, and that's why it's no pressure for us. I just want the girls to go out there and enjoy the game and get a good feel for the experience and start to ease ourselves in for what is a long season. And our backers to do well throughout the entire season, regardless of what the result is on Saturday. Like I said, it's not the be all and end all. Obviously, I'd love to win, but if whatever we come away with, it's a great starting block. For me, the performance comes first.
yeah, absolutely. Well, men's team lost 4 in a row at the start of last year, and the rest is in history too, right? So
Exactly, and that's a prime example.
absolutely, absolutely. But don't do that. No, that'd be great. My heart can't take that sort of start, mate. We can't be doing that. Just a question too, just about yourself. Team talks before a game. Are you someone who the car trip into you're going over in your head like I say this and it's almost like a rehearsed thing, or are you just the off the cuff? I know I've got points to hit, but I'm just going to go for it.
I'm a little bit of both.
Right.
I am a little bit of both. Sometimes I'm off a bit of feel,
Yep.
depending upon how we warm up.
Yep.
Obviously, pre-game information, I've mostly already covered, so the girls are prepared and ready to go when they first come into the stadium.
Yep.
But right before we walk out, it's a mixture of, um, I guess, key driving information that I think the players need to know, a feeling of what they need, whether it's a bit of a hype up, whether it's a bit of a grilling, whether it's a little bit of a stick it to them,
Yep.
um, mixed in with, I guess, a backing of no matter what happens out there on the pitch, I'll always be there. Like I trust them, I back them, and I always want them to feel that, they're not going to get, um, I guess, singled out on the pitch, and that we're all in this together. So yeah, it's a little bit of both. I do often think about my pre-game, and I'm sure if you ask any of my staff members who are all here with me at my house tonight, I probably at times talk a little bit too much. And I think there's times where they're looking at the watch and they're like, gotta get out for kickoff here. Can you hurry this up?
Yeah. Yeah. The men
But
kick off after, mate. We've got to hurry this up a bit.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah, for me, it's just about making sure the players feel safe and yeah, ready and prepared to go out there and battle for the badge.
Absolutely. No, we can't wait for that too. And we mentioned before, I mean, obviously, players have moved on from last year's squad, and obviously we wish them all well. And as I said before, I mean, once you've worn the Mariner shirt, we'll follow you anywhere. We'll always keep an eye out and always be encouraging because yeah, once you've worn the shirt, you're a Mariner forever. But can you? We won't go through the whole squad of the changes, but is there someone who you're all obviously excited about all the signings that have come in, but is there anyone in particular that you're saying that we may not have heard too much about that we should definitely be keeping an eye on this year?
Yeah, I think we've got a couple to be fair. Obviously, I mean, when you say I haven't heard much about, obviously Taylor Ray for me will be the pick of the bunch, and probably Jess Nash as well. I
Yeah.
think both of them have got such great pedigree about them.
Mm,
But on top of that, again, like I said to you before, the biggest thing for us is about having such a great personality,
yeah.
and having worked with both Jess and Taylor throughout pre-season this year. Not only are they so accepting and welcoming to feedback and to wanting to get better, but they're
Yeah.
just so good around the team as well. They get around the team, they're positive, they're drivers of change. So for me, Nashi and Taylor were probably two of the big ones, and then to top that off with the likes of Jade Pennock, who's played at such a great level and played under some wonderful coaches like Neil Redfern, who's also coached, first the first team at Leeds United.
Yeah.
He's also worked with Jade, and he spoke so highly of her, and since I've met her, she's just been such a great human, and she just wants to get down and she'll work for absolutely everything. And
Yeah.
likewise, Brianne Riley, who's come
Yeah.
in, again, just she's just such a great person, and I think that's probably one of the things that I think I reflect upon from last year compared to this year is that I feel like this year we've got a group of players who buy into each other so
Mm,
much more, and are so much more willing to take on that feedback, to apply the feedback, and to get better.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, I'll always be grateful for the players that we've had at the club. And, like I said to you, that they're part of our family and always will be because they had such a massive part in our first year, and that'll never be forgotten. But, I do genuinely believe that, we've made improvements this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know about you, boss, but I've got goosebumps already, and we're still a couple of days out from kickoff, so I've got a long way to go. Look, I'm sure we'll catch up again during the season, but thanks for taking time to have a bit of a chat with us. before the seasons even start. Best luck this Saturday. Best luck for this season. And yeah, we'll definitely catch up with you again during the season.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marty. It's been an absolute pleasure, and yeah, genuinely, it's great to talk to you. And we're so thankful for your support and for the time and effort that you go through in these podcasts. Like, it means a lot to the girls, it means a lot to the club, and it means a lot to our fans as well. So, yeah, I'll get back to the staff and continue to cook them some tacos for the
Oh,
evening.
and I'm going to start messaging him about you abusing everybody in the coach's box. That's all fine. That's all good. We'll catch
Sounds
up.
great
We'll
to
catch up with
me.
you soon, Em.
Thanks, Marty.
All right.
Cheers.
And welcome back to the Marty Mariner Show. What a great chat that was with M Husband. And well, speaking of great chats, we're about to continue on with what a little panel we've assembled right now. The toughest job in football is to try and guess what's going to go on in the season ahead when you really haven't seen a hell of a lot. But that's okay, because these two guys are experts and you're going to hear all their predictions. Get your money out, put some money, sell your house, do what you got to do, because this is where it's going to be at for this whole season. My two guests, one he's a bit familiar here to the channel, Dean from the little corner of yellow. How are you doing, my man?
Good evening, Marty. I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
Love having Dean on the show. He's he's Wellington Phoenix by the Isuzu kind, but he's very much a Mariner when it comes to being a ninja. So we'll keep him honest, and yeah, we're listening very intently to his predictions this year. And someone who's making their Marty show debut, M from well, I found your Instagram account word of mouth actually through Dean. Fantastic Instagram account. We'll talk about that in a sec. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Oh, absolutely. Most people say they're happy to be here before the show starts anyway. So we'll see how you go by the end. If you don't know, Emma has an absolutely outstanding Instagram page. We're going to put all the links down below. ALW by M. There's a few underscores in there as well, but we'll make sure we put it in the link. Make sure you go follow her as well. Some of the photos and the stats, and I just love all that sort of stuff. It's fantastic. So make sure you give her a follow as well. All right, guys, let's have a bit of a go at some predictions. But before we do, let's not close off last season just yet. And Dean, I'm going to start with you. Your highlight from last season, what was it for you? Or highlights?
Highlights, I think. There's two Mariners highlights,
Ooh.
I think, and then one Phoenix highlight.
Wow.
One was the Mariners winning 2-1 at Leichhardt Oval against Sydney FC. You'll remember it was raining, terrible conditions. Yep. Sarah Langman got sent off with about 10 minutes to go. It was 1-1 at the time. Sydney attacked. It was a 90th plus 9 minutes where Mariners got the penalty. Ergamal had a penalty shot. It bounced out. She tucked away the rebound, and it was just mayhem. It was just one of those fantastic events. Just great to be there. Yep. Mariners were very much the underdog the whole match, and they came away with 3 points, and that was a really good highlight to me.
Goalkeeper gate, I'm going to call that one.
Yes. And the other one was the elimination semi-final away in Melbourne. If you remember, it came down to penalties. Again, Mariners, I think, very much the underdog in Melbourne, and Casey Dumont steps up, and I think you might even be able to see it up on my wall. I've got a little diagram. What was it? 2 saves. She takes her penalty, cool as you like, just slots it, and it was just, again, magnificent event to be there at. So those are my 2 Mariners highlights.
Absolutely. Very
my
much
Phoenix
from goalkeepers too.
Yeah, well, the next one is maybe I've got to think about goalkeepers, perhaps not goal scorers. But the Phoenix, you probably don't remember the match, but it was Wellington Phoenix in Wellington at Porirua Park against Canberra. Our keeper sent off for a foul, allegedly. Bree Edwards sort of steps in, saves a penalty. We go on to win 2-0. And then Bree Edwards drops the F-bomb on a live interview. It was just like magnificent football. And those are my 3 highlights for last season.
And Dean throws out the first allegedly of the season. I love that. Love that one too. M, highlights for you from last season.
Honestly, thinking about it, I didn't have like one specific highlight, but I'd say probably my favorite part of the season was having a 6-team final and playing those two home and away finals. I think that was very good. I mean, I got to go to the Mariners and Sydney one, and I think that was a lot better having it two legs because you could see a lot more of how they went into it. And I think it just showed a lot more football and a lot more of their tactics. I thought that was very good to have a 6-team final.
Absolutely. And also highlighted the bad parking around Leichhardt Oval too.
Good
Oh
luck,
my God, the parking there is horrid.
Word on the street, there are still some Mariners fans trying to get out of that car park. So if you do see them, they need to get back in time for Saturday to come back and watch us play Sydney again. Go figure. I guess for me, the first game of the season where our girls came out and played Newcastle, fortunate enough to be a bit of a guard of honor out there too. You could feel it on the field. There was tension, there was excitement, there was lots going on, and just to see a Mariners team back out there in the women's competition, just playing with the badge on the shirt, it was such a proud moment and such an exciting moment for us all. I mean, not the result that we would have liked as well, and we actually spoke to him about that yesterday too. But I think, to me, I'll never forget that day. I think that'll be one that'll stay with me forever. And obviously, as we'll all predict, there'll be some lovely memories coming up again this season too. Probably one that's a real tough one to pick, and I had to think long and hard. Em, I'm going to come to you first on this. Who was your player of the year last year?
Player of the year last year, honestly, I'm going to go with Macy Fraser. She was someone who I thought really stood out. She was someone, it was her first season. She secured one of the biggest transfers going out of the year. She just did great in that midfield, and I think it really showed for the Wellington. And I don't think she got enough praise last season. I don't think she was talked about enough. She was an extremely good player in that squad.
Absolutely. Fair call. And if Dean followed the women's team as much as he did the men's team, he'd probably agree with you. But anyway, let's go ask him where he's going. Dean, your player of the year from last year.
I'm actually sort of quite astounded, Em, that you picked a Phoenix player. Was there no one from the Wanderers that stuck out for you?
I was going to go Sophie Harding, but of course she already won the gold medal. She's got enough praise there. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Fair enough. Well, as always, because I've got a foot in both camps. So for me, for the Phoenix, it was Mac Barry, just solid at the back, just as a star, just a wonderful player. And it may come to as no surprise to you, Marty, or Em, but for my Mariners player of the season, it's got to be Izzy Gomez.
Yeah.
She ran the midfield, great player. I've got the stats her up. She leads the league in so many effective stats. So yeah, Gomez, my player of the season.
Absolutely, and you can't go. I mean, to me, I was always going to be Izzy Gomez myself, but I want to throw an honourable mention out there for Ash Irwin too, because I think, and again, I know I'm sort of obviously going to pick a lot of Mariners players because I watch the majority of their games, but to me, just an honest, hard-working player, the type that you just love watching it. I mean, Dean, you referenced that game early in the year where she ended up in goals herself, and the image of her on the sideline, big smile on the face with the gloves, and here we go. But put her out there on the field, and she would just tackle anything that moved, and was just a mainstay in that back line for me. So an honourable mention there to Ash as well. But and I think too that we'll get to players to watch, but I definitely think in that younger brigade as well. I think there'll definitely be some to look at. All right, this is the toughie, I reckon. We're going to pick a top 6 based off what we know or what we don't know right now, but how good it will be if you guys nail this. Now, we're going to do the top 6 starting at 6, and then let us know at the end who's going to finish first. Dean, I'm going to come to you first.
There's going to be the usual suspects, of course. So half of it's with my head and half of it's with my heart.
Right.
So
interesting.
On my list, we've got Wellington at 6. That's very much with my heart. I think the Jets next. Just, and that's only based on the preseason friendly result that I saw that they, was it 5-2 against Sydney FC? But they've got
5-0 against Sydney.
There we go. Thanks for that.
Very
I gave them two goals, something to do with GST perhaps. Then the Mariners. Then we've got Melbourne Victory. Sydney FC, and then Melbourne City is,
Yeah.
I think for me, Melbourne City are going to be the plate winners.
Yeah.
The other question was the grand final.
Yeah, you can
I
do
think
that too. Why not?
Yeah. So I'm very cynical. I think with City probably going to win the plate. You only have to beat them once a season, and that's either going to be in the semi-final or the final. So I'm picking Melbourne City to make the final. It's going to be either against Mariners or Victory, I think, but it will be either Mariners or Victory coming away with the chocolates, I reckon.
Bit of an each way there, which coming up to Melbourne Cup, I guess that's okay. You can have a bit of an each way bet. Okay, Em, let's go through your top six and
Okay.
let's see how you go.
Let's go top six. I think number six, I think I'm gonna have to go with Wanderers. That is my team. Last season they were almost there. I mean, I don't think they're looking that great from preseason. I'm gonna be straight up honest. But obviously that doesn't really tell you a lot about them, I think. Number five, I'm gonna go with a little bit of a shock. I'm gonna go with Canberra United. I think looking at them are just kind of the team they have this year. They've done so much different in both games that they've played in preseason. They've conceded 0 goals, which I think is pretty impressive because given last season they were the highest team to concede. And they played against Melbourne Victory with a 0-0 draw. So I think that is very telling. And I definitely really like that squad. And then I think the top four for me are pretty obvious. I'm going Western United, Melbourne Victory, Sydney, and then City. I think, yeah, City to win the Premier's Plate, I think is easy, very clear to me. I think we saw them in the Asian Champions League. I think it was very obvious that they were strong. Every player they've brought in seems to just be helping the team. I think it's pretty hard to deny that. And I think going along with that, I think City is definitely going to be in the final. I'm honestly going to go. I'm going with my heart here. I want to say Canberra United is going to get to the final. I'm really liking their team this season. It's a very random shout, but we'll see.
Is this the year of the Heyman, do you think? And
maybe they've got a lot of attacking talent up there. I think that is a few players to watch. Actually, definitely had some Canberra people down there.
We're playing with a 9-1-1 formation.
Yeah, that's all they need.
Absolutely, just be doing that and
just outscore people.
Of course, Em making her last appearance now on the show because she didn't even put the Mariners in the top six, but that's okay. We're all about fairness here on the MartyMariner show. It's one in all, but no, we love your work. I think it's and basically, I mean, along the same lines as you guys, I definitely think Victory, City, and Sydney. Take your top three in any order there. Obviously, I'm going to throw the Mariners in there. I agree with Western Sydney too. I've just got a little sneaky feeling about them. And who did I put in the last one? I can't remember who I put in the last one. I put Wellington in there actually, and I've got our team in green and black are not going to make the top six. How bad would that be for them? But anyway, I think Wellington will be a big chance as well. Look, I'm all up for the fairy tale, and I'm happy for the Mariners to make the grand final and win it. I don't really care who we beat to do it. If we're there on that day, it'll be oblivious to me. But I just think that and again, I've gained confidence again listening to M Husband earlier. I think we've recruited really well. We've lost a lot, but I think we've gained more. And I think we're very much on the same page. I think just trial form's been really solid. And I think we're going to surprise. I don't think, and that sounds funny when you think we got to the semi-finals last year, but I don't think people realise that how good this side can be, and I think we've got the best coach in the competition in my book. So watch out; it could be a Mariners winning a grand final. How odd would that be? Because you don't see that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, not like you're used to that at all, are you, Marty?
Well, I just had to slip that in there somewhere. I didn't think I'd get that in on the podcast when we were talking about the Ninja A-League, but anyway, I managed to do it. Credit to me. It's my show. I can do what I want.
Edit that out, won't
you? Em, I'm going to come to you first. Give me a player to watch. Not necessarily has to be the best ever player, but just someone who we might go, keep an eye out for that one.
Honestly, I probably have my hardest time finding this. So I've gone with a few. Yeah. So, number one for all, obviously, a Mariners show, so I'm going to go with Mariner, is Tiana Fuller.
Yeah.
Is a very young player. I feel like her signing was very overlooked because you guys released a lot of signings at the same time, but she is just 16 years old.
Yep.
She played for the New South Wales Institute and she went to the Under-17 World Cup. She started all games. She's won the national championship with New South Wales. Like, I think she's very much overlooked. I think she is an amazing player, and I think she's definitely one to look out. And another young player I think to watch is Tanae Morris, who was in the young Matildas as well, signed for Brisbane Roar. I think she is definitely going to be an interesting player to watch. She is probably one of the older ones of the young players, saying that she's only 20. And I think the third one I want to give a shout to is Maya Markovsky. I think she is going to do very well this season. She has had a year out, and I think coming back, she just has a lot that she wants to prove. She just wants to come back and go, yeah, I'm going to score.
Absolutely. No, we need more of those ancient 20-year-olds in our competition. They're getting on a bit. They're running out of time, so they need to.
They got to come in earlier. We got to see them earlier, guys.
Absolutely.
Come on.
There's under 13 comps around here. Let's just sign them up and make it more interesting. Dean, who'd you go?
Let's see. I've got a few as well. For the Phoenix, Grace Jarley's come back from Perth Glory. I think that's a great move, and we'll hopefully be able to use and exploit her height at the front. Also, Maya McCutcheon, who's come to us from America. She looked pretty good in the preseason. I think she's very versatile. She's sort of playing in the centre, midfield, also dropping back to cover the backs at times as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. That's for the Phoenix. For the Mariners, I think I'd like to see Peter Trimmis. Obviously, everybody knows about it, but I think this for her and Shay Evans and perhaps the attack nugget or Annabelle Martin, as you might know her, this is their season. I think it's not so much a breakout season, but it's a season for them to put them all into the spotlight more. And I think, this is their season where they can sort of show what they can do.
Absolutely.
One other sort of is from Adelaide. It's little Miley Grigg. She's very, very young, but she's got some good game time last season. I think she's looking to up that. So I'm looking forward to seeing Miley Grigg play for Adelaide United. Those are my sort of players to watch, I think.
Absolutely.
Oh, Claudia Bunch from Melbourne Victory as well, because she's awesome.
Well, there you go. That's nearly your top 11 of the season, mate. You're going pretty well across the board. Yeah, I mean, an all great player. To me, I mean, again, I'm biased. I'm just going to go a Mariners player. But I think Jessica Nash, who had a couple of years at Melbourne Victory, captain of the Young Matildas, I think she's an outstanding talent. We've signed some quality players from, overseas and from Sydney, Taylor Ray, and all that. We've signed some quality, but I think I really believe that this could be a season we might see Jessica really come to, have a bit of a breakout season. So looking forward to seeing her running around and from all reports settled in very, very well as well. So looking forward to seeing her do her thing. And the last question, the big improvers. Now, if you want to make it a team, that's fine. If you want to make it a player, that's fine. Whatever you decide, but I'll leave that one open. So just generally, big improvers. Em, we'll start with you.
Honestly, I think going with teams, I think the big improver teams are going to be your Canberra United and Perth Glory. I think both of those have come and made some great signings. I think one of the things about Canberra that I'm really looking forward to is there are so many players that they've got, and since they obviously don't have the funding, which is a problem, but they've got a lot of players that were playing at big clubs and weren't able to get the time they wanted, and I think that's just, they're going to give them that time and they've really got something to prove. So I think like the whole world just kind of seems against them, like nothing's really going their way. So I think it is kind of that underdog story. As for Perth, I think, they've also made some big signings. I think one of their main one is going to be their new coach, who was the coach of the Rams at NPL New South Wales. So I kept up with him a lot. He won the comp 3 years in a row. I think he's an amazing coach, and I think he can definitely change that team.
Absolutely. No, good shout out there. As important off the field as it is on the field. Dean, big improvers.
2, I think. 1 you're going to hate. So that probably helps you guess who I'm picking already.
Go on, say it. Go on.
I think perhaps we might see some improvement from Newcastle. They might shock and upset some teams this season, I think. Plus, I'm thinking just a little smoky is Adelaide. I think we might see some improvement from Adelaide.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I mean, again, I don't profess to know the intricacies of every single team in the like. I've sort of picked up a lot last year, like when they played the Mariners, I did a bit of research per game, but it does seem for me that this year that yeah, the big three, as we mentioned before, the 2 Melbourne sides and Sydney will be strong again, but the players from those other clubs just everyone seems to just have elevated a little bit, and there's a lot of opportunity there for that top 6. We've all basically picked totally different top 6s, but you know there could be some big teams missing out. You know, I've tipped Western United to miss out, and that'd be an absolute shock. But I think it could happen. I think results could go a funny way. And I think that the big improvers for me in general is going to be the Ninja A-League. I actually think we're going to see a really tight competition. I think we're going to see games that are going to be meaning a lot week in, week out. I think there were, towards the end of last year, there were a couple of games still meant a lot, but a lot of games really didn't mean too much. I think that's going to not be the case this year. I think it's going to go right to the last round. And so, my tip is that the league itself is really going to lift again. And, I think it'll be really, really interesting to see how that goes. Before we wrap up, let's just have a score prediction for the first round. And Dean, I know we've taken you as a Mariners fan for the women, but I'm going to let you go with the Wellington game first up. How are Wellington going to go in round 1?
Gosh, I think it's going to be 1-1. There we go.
1-1.
1-1.
Nice.
I'll take it. It's away, I believe. So
take the point.
I may not even be in a position to see that because I'll be in Auckland in Wellington for the derby.
Oh,
so
just the thing that how good's it been seeing Auckland? I mean, top of the comp, and what's going on?
Yeah, it's good, but also bad at the same time. It's sort of like it's like you and Jets, isn't it? It's like Mariners and Jets.
Yeah,
it's good for the league. Personally, I'd rather they be at the bottom, but we'll find out on the weekend.
Well, that's a good.
I will be doubly excited. Well, I will be more excited for them when they do get their women's team next season, just because of the extra scope, the extra positions, the extra roles for everybody. I think that's going to benefit the Ninja League. Then one more team will probably they'll probably end up signing some Australians as well. So it's good all round football.
Yeah. It was good to see. I mean, as much as from watching from afar, but our main man Dan Hall, who's his shirt.
Oh yeah,
still there he is. So it's good that we always keep an eye on him. We've got a lot of time for Dan Hall, but I mean, I think it's great for the game. But the thing is, as you said, it's always that rivalry. You wish they were at the bottom of the comp, and when you don't like Newcastle, that tends to happen a lot because that's where they spend most of their time. Hello to all the Newcastle Jets fans. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. Em, who the Wanderers got this weekend?
They've got Newcastle.
Oh,
funnily enough.
Segue.
Yeah. Honestly, that game, I gotta go with
6-0.
Wanderers are gonna win, but I think they have obviously played each other in the preseason. They drew 1-1 for anyone that wasn't aware. I think I'm gonna go with 2-1 to Wanderers because I just want us to win.
Yeah, well, I'll be cheering for them too, mate. I'll be a Wanderer for that game as well. And of course, the Mighty Mariners home game against Sydney. It seems bizarre, doesn't it? The men played a grand final against Melbourne Victory, first game at home against Melbourne Victory. The women played Sydney in the finals last year, first game this year, Sydney at home again. We don't hang around the Central Coast. We get those games under our belt. I actually think we're going to get a win. As much as Em talked about performance and development, and obviously there's a lot to go on this season. It's early days, but I'm actually feeling quite confident. I think we're going to sneak it by a goal, and the aforementioned Peter Trimmis, the pocket rocket, will put one away for us at the Industry Group Stadium underneath those palm trees and giant sauce bottles. Can't wait. Big double header there at Industry Group as well, guys. So hopefully we get to see over 6,000 there. Guys, thanks so much. That was a lot of fun having a bit of a chat, and I can't wait to totally put this on the site and have a look in about 6 and 7 weeks' time to see how great our predictions have been. And I can't promise that we won't play this again at the end of the year and get you back on, and we'll have a bit of a look about it. Em, thanks so much for joining us. What a great debut. We'll definitely have to have you back on again sometime later in the year to talk about how the league's going. And hopefully by then, Dean will only have one choice to every question that we answer and not 5 or 6. But we'll see how we go from then, Dean.
Don't make me choose.
Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. Have a good first round, guys. Have a good season. We'll catch up with you soon. Yes, welcome back to the Marty Mariner Show. What a massive episode it has been so far. Kicked it off with husband having a bit of a chat about the managing of a team from last year into this year. Really excited for the game on the weekend. Had a bit of a panel, a few predictions we've thrown out there about who might finish where and, well, probably who won't finish where if you go on our predictions, but we'll wait and see. And, well, we have to finish on a high. Certainly we do. And, well, we've got our own Mariners royalty. Well, King in the name anyway. Taryn King, the captain of our Ninja A-League team. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing well. Excited for the season to start this weekend, and looking forward to it.
Absolutely, mate. I said to Em at the start of the show, it's just like Christmas is only better though. But it seems to have come around really quick. Has it been like that for you? Does it seem like we've only just played Sydney at Leichhardt, now all of a sudden we're going again?
Yeah, a bit of deja vu.
Yeah, just a bit.
Definitely. I think we've been speaking a little bit at training, saying how quick the preseason's gone. So it's come around real quick, and like I said, really excited already.
Yeah, absolutely pumped, mate. Absolutely pumped. I know the boys have had a few warm-up games for us to get the the juices flowing, but no, this is the real stuff, right? With the women kicking off this weekend. I want to ask first, Taryn, your first footballing memory. Do you remember the first kick of a ball or your first, moments you started to fall in love with this game, the round ball game?
So when I first started, I don't specifically remember, I guess, my first kick of the ball, but my family were not soccer people to begin with. Grew up kind of watching NRL and playing different sports until my older brother, he's got a disability, so he couldn't really play a lot of contact sports, so soccer was it. And because he's my older brother, I just wanted to be like him, and I guess I wanted to play soccer just because he did. So that kind of got me and my younger brother into soccer, and we'd just never really looked back ever since.
Okay. Can we ask what NRL team you follow here?
Oh, I don't know if I want to put my name to it at this point. From Wollongong, so couldn't be anyone other than the Dragons, unfortunately, at this point.
Yeah, okay. We might have to edit that bit out again, Tara. Just don't worry about that bit. Well, I'm a Doggies fan, man. So
I've been enjoying watching the Doggies past 2 years, to be fair.
Might be the new home for Ben Hunt too, by the sound. But anyway, we will see. That's a totally different podcast. We'll catch up that later. So where did you first play? What was your first club?
I played for my local club in Shell Harbour, just my juniors, and then I started NPL when I was in under 10s, under 11s or something like that. Yeah, Illawarra Stingrays, and then I went down to the South Coast, down in Nowra to Southern Branch for a couple of years before I went up to Sydney Uni, and I've been kind of at Sydney Uni in and out, obviously, in between W League seasons ever since.
Absolutely. Caught up with one husband there too, but we'll chat about that one in a second.
People.
Yeah, of all people to bump into that. Well, it kind of works out well in the future, right? We were talking with from the men's team, Lucas Moragas, who's playing left back now, and he said when he first started out, he was a number 9, played as a striker. Were you a striker when you first started out and ended up in the back line, or have you always been you're at the back?
Actually, I did try my hand a little bit at number 9, but I naturally have always been more of a defensive player. But yeah, when I was kind of playing in a team that probably needed some, I guess, more goal scoring and things like that, I was kind of on the ball a fair bit, and the coach wanted to put me up front, just I think because I kind of had a little bit more to do with how well we did, I guess, at that point. So Yeah, I tried my hand at striker. Didn't go too well. It was all right for a year, and then straight back to stopper sweeper back in the day.
Yeah, stopper sweeper. Wow.
Yeah, I am a little bit older. Now
Oh,
you
look,
can tell.
look, age is but a number. Just ask me. I'll tell you all about it. And just that, and playing at the back too. Are you someone who just found that just reading the game was something that was pretty natural to sort of sit behind and see what was going on? Was the reading of the game something that came pretty easy to you?
Yeah, I don't know what it was back when I was a young kid. I think I just resorted kind of to that deeper side and liking to see, I guess, the whole picture almost. Yeah, and kind of directing people, I guess, was always kind of something that I was good at and happy to do, I guess. So
Yeah.
I guess similar to what I'm still doing now. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wish I was a striker. That's the glory position. But no, yeah, my attributes are all, I guess, that of a defender. So there I am.
Well, any further back, mate, you'll be rivaling Sarah Langman for a goalkeeping spot. But we'll keep you out of there for now. We've got Ash Irwin who can cover that spot too, can't we? So
yeah.
How did you you end up playing? I think it was just over 20 games for Canberra. How'd you end up playing in the green?
In the green, well, I mean, throwback to Sydney Uni again.
Yeah.
I was playing at Sydney Uni under Heather Garriock, and then Heather got the gig down in Canberra, and so yeah, I went down there for a trial for my hadn't played W League yet, so went down there for a trial, and she wanted to see. I guess she knew me pretty well from coaching at Sydney Uni and the time I'd spent under her already, but obviously hadn't played A League, so she wanted to see how I guess fared. In that scene, and so I did a couple of weeks of training down there, and she gave me my first contract. So
signed you up and away again. What was the biggest thing? Because obviously it's not a full-time gig, right? What were the challenges
back in those days?
Yeah.
Similar to these.
I mean, we're not talking black and white TV days here. I mean, come on.
No. Well, I mean, much better than a little bit before me. To be fair, I think I was the first. The first year I played was the first year that there was an actual minimum wage in the league. So I got pretty lucky in that sense that there was always guaranteed some money for the players. But obviously back then it was even less. I think it was $10,000 at that point. So it was tough. I mean, for me, I had to move away from Sydney down to Canberra, find a new rental for not a couple months of the year, and then move back. So I actually was paying double rent. I was keeping my place in Sydney, and so paying rent up there for when I wasn't even living there, and then paying rent in Canberra, which thankfully it's a little bit cheaper in Canberra, but not too cheap when you're paying double. And then so I was at that point in my life, I was studying as well at Sydney Uni, so trying to juggle a few hats on top of a casual job at a cafe that I found down there. So
nice.
I was busy.
I was going to I'm worn out just listening to you. A bit of a barista, are you? Are you the team barista that goes on here?
Yeah, have you heard?
Maybe.
Yeah, I do like my coffee. I have my own coffee machine at home, and I like all things to do with coffee, and I guess every morning it'd be weird to spot me without one. So I love my coffee, and everyone knows about it.
It's quite well known from what I understand from people. It sounds bad enough that paying 2 lots of rent, earning, working away, Canberra, freezing cold half the time anyway. As if it couldn't get any worse, you ended up at the Newcastle Jets. Now, I can say that because I'm a Mariners guy, but I'm sure it was great times for you. How'd you end up back up at Newcastle?
Just kind of, I think, I enjoyed my time at Canberra. I think, I'd been there for a couple of years, and I think I felt it was time to kind of change it up a little bit. And the coach at Jets reached out at that point, and I kind of, like I said, felt like I needed a bit of a change, and I thought I might try my hand at the Jets and see how I go. They seem like a good club in terms of like they're similar to the Mariners in the sense that they get right around the community and things like that. So it kind of spoke to me, and I obviously enjoyed it enough to stay there for another few years. So yeah,
Very
no,
well done.
yeah, I'm happy that I went up there.
And I was going to say too, I mean, we talked about being a number 9. I mean, there was a goal you scored from it too. I think far post header, I think it was against Western United or something like that. And so, yeah, I mean, there's the goal scoring. I mean, obviously you're on a big bonus for goal scoring as well there too, right?
I wish.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, I definitely I celebrated like I'm a centre back though.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you check that out on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. It's a classic. I might even put it on the site. It's really cool. So yeah, 30 odd games for Newcastle plus the goal. Let's not forget that one too. But the Mariners, obviously there was no club, no Mariners team while you were playing for Newcastle. Was it M getting on the phone and saying, "Hey, Taryn, how you going? I got a bit of a thought." Is that how it all started?
I guess slightly, and partly from my part too, to be fair. I think once she got announced as the coach, and I'd obviously already spent a fair bit of time both playing under her and coaching with her, I kind of thought, oh, I know what she's about, and I know what kind of, players she likes and kind of culture she drives. And, I obviously have thrived under that in previous seasons at other places. So as soon as I saw her name as the coach, I kind of thought, oh, that's probably something that I should get involved with. So I kind of reached out, and we got coffee, and it was kind of history from there, really.
Absolutely. It's the coffee. I'm telling you, it's the coffee that does it every single time.
Like I said, I love my coffee.
Absolutely. For all the young girls out there watching this, going, I want to play for the Mariners. Get your barista license going on.
Done, sold.
What's Em like for a coach for you? I mean, everyone has their coaches that can get the best out of them, but what's Emily Husband like as a coach, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, Em's a different coach that I've said it before. I've never played under someone like Em. You have all these different coaches that, they all have their own kind of personal trait that, sets them apart from other coaches. But Em's cool in the sense that, I've kind of always, you've been told all through your career most of the time, teams should focus on themselves rather than focusing on the other team so much. You should focus on your strengths and make the other team, cater themselves to you. Whereas Em, sets the foundation of how we want to play from the get-go, and then we cater to every team that we play every week. There's tactics about how they play, how we're going to get the best out of what we do, and how we're going to exploit their weaknesses. And I've said it before, I think she plays a bit of chess in soccer. So I think, it's really cool. And I mean, it's hard work as a player to play under, because there's so much knowledge and information to take in constantly. So it definitely does challenge you as a player. But if you're up for the challenge, it's pretty cool to experience and to play under, to play soccer in that format. It's a different level. And I'm loving it, enjoying it. And I think even this year, seeing the new girls come in after last year, it's they're enjoying it too, and they're up for the challenge, which is cool. It's good to see everyone on the same wavelength under her.
Absolutely. She's won that many different coaching awards. I mean, she's the coach of the century the way she's going. So I think we've definitely got the best gaffer in the business there.
We can't give her too big of a head. Come on now.
Well, we've already tried it. I was only going to chat with her for 10 minutes. It went for half an hour. It was all about it. And just on that, we actually talked about, relationships with players, and, different players react in different ways and respond to different things. Could you tell at halftime when you're going in there and Em's either in the sheds already or walks in, can you tell there's going to be some paint peeling from the walls, or could you tell by her demeanor what was coming?
Yes and no. She's quite interesting. Sometimes she'll pull it out of nowhere and you don't really know that it's coming. Yeah. She often, to be fair, there's not many times that she gets her cranky pants on, I guess. She's pretty calm and level-headed, and I guess the only times where she's really upset with us is when she thinks there's a lack of effort, or something's just well and truly off, and it's well within our reach to be able to fix it. Those are the main times when she's actually upset and not happy with us, whereas all the other times it's more she's just going to come in and change the tactics for some reason. Something's not working, and she's happy to put her hand up and say, maybe I got that wrong, or you guys aren't getting what I'm saying. So here's what we're doing. So no, she's I mean, most of the time we're not expecting it.
Oh, exactly. Right.
But I think when we do receive it, we know it's coming because we know we're not.
You're hoping that Paramount want to do those halftime interviews, so you're a bit later.
You're delayed in there.
Don't worry about that one. So that's
She'll be waiting for you. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, just hold the fort, guys. I'll be in a second. And so at the start of the year too. So obviously with Canberra and Newcastle, you're going into established teams, established clubs. You're the new person on the block. As an individual, this year or the beginning of last season, it's a brand new club. Everyone's coming in as new. There's no one who's been there at that level, like in that team before. Did that take a bit of getting used to? Did it feel a little bit like, is this all going to come together? Like, was there a bit of apprehension about it?
Yeah, it is. It was an interesting feeling. Like you said, like everyone was new. So it was like, it was almost like there was no stability. So it was like everyone was kind of, treading water, trying to stay afloat at the same time. But I think we did a fair bit of team bonding and, getting to know you kind of things from the get-go, which really helped, I think, just, developing our relationships off the field so that when we are on the field and training and playing and things like that, we have that to kind of stand on. So, it was strange, but, it was natural at the same time somehow.
Absolutely. And, to see the start of the season, we're talking about being a striker. I think in the first 2 games, you were 1 goal in 2 games at the start of the year. I think it was Adelaide you scored against, something like that.
Yeah, we should have cut my stats off there, hey?
Yeah, we just call it even. 50% ratio was fantastic.
Yeah.
But then I think, was it 10 games into the season, the injury, the ACL, still dogging you to this day, still as a recovery. How did you know at the time how bad it was? Did it just feel just not right? And how is that process going of recovery?
Yeah, it's been, obviously, it's not, everyone knows it as, the tough injury that a lot of women in sport go through. So it's obviously been tough in terms of when I first did it. Yeah, in my head, you kind of, the checklist of, everyone talks about what you feel and what happens when you've done your ACL, and you kind of, as soon as you're back, after, being upset and sore, and, when I did it, I was hysterically kind of screaming and crying. So after I'd kind of calmed down, you kind of see that checklist in your head and you go, oh, yeah, tick, 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 all these boxes are starting to line up, and you go, okay, well, it could be. Medical staff at the club were kind of not totally sure for a good couple of weeks, actually. I think that's why there was a fair delay in announcing what had happened to me, but they just didn't want to announce, I guess, the wrong thing and then it turn around and be something different. So but I kind of had a gut feeling from the get-go, knowing that, whether it was a total rupture or not, I definitely knew I was going to spend a good number of months on the sideline. So it's been tough, but I kind of like to pride myself on having, quite a strong mindset and seeing the positive in everything, and making sure that while I'm still around the group and around everyone, I'm being positive and adding to the culture and adding to the vibe at training and all the things that we do, so that everyone's enjoying themselves, I guess, rather than drawing any energy away from the team. So no, it's while it's been tough, I'm still enjoying myself and just, I guess, enjoying the process and going with the flow.
Absolutely. And I think I know the answer to the question, because I think I've been sitting near you during the games, but are you a tragic when it comes to the sideline when you're watching your team play? Are you just someone who's kicking every ball and you're basically playing every game?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I get that from my family. I've come from a long line of people who kick seats by accident and things like that. So
nothing wrong with that, mate. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I find it harder to sit on the sideline than to actually play. So I get a lot more nervous, a lot more stressed, and I guess want the girls to do well. And I figure me yelling and cheering and things like that surely helps, right?
Absolutely it does. Well, I mean, we got all bar a game all the way nearly to the grand final last year. So you must have been
I put that down to me cheering.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, nothing to do with them. I'm sure she's not watching. And just with that too, the club came out another 2-year extension on the contract. That must have given some confidence going like, well, there's value here, and it must have spurred you on to just keep on going. There's a bit more to it than just what I'm doing right now. Yeah,
it was obviously getting injured on a 1-year contract is comes with its own stresses. While I have a great relationship with them and I guess the club and all the girls, it's still a business at the end of the day. And the club obviously knows my value, but they don't at the end of the day, they don't specifically owe me anything after that contract runs out. So I was obviously a little bit worried, but Ems obviously likes having me around somehow. And it's obviously really happy and excited to, when she offered me 2 years. So kind of didn't look back. Super excited to be a part of the squad for that long, and we'll see how long it takes me.
Absolutely. Must be really good coffee, mate. That's all I can say. We're going to keep coming back to
we'll put it down to that.
It's paying dividends. And just briefly on that, just watching on the side, getting involved, is coaching something for you in the future?
I've done a bit of coaching already, so and I have finished my teaching degree, so it is a little bit. I guess it does come natural to me, and I like to kind of offer my advice for anyone that will listen. I guess
absolutely.
It is tough though. Coaching is a lot of pressure, and you're often the villain when things go wrong, even when it's not necessarily your fault. So it's a tough gig, and that's I think why I respect people like Emily so much. Is when things go wrong, it's your fault. When things go right, you don't always get the praise for it. So I wouldn't mind being an assistant coach, I think, at some point, but I think a head coach is a little bit too much pressure for me.
But assistant coaches still have its fair share. I'm sure you've heard it here first on the MartyMariner show. If it ever happens, that'd be pretty cool. And just finally, too, mate. Obviously, player turnover in the squad. Obviously, some friends people get on well with. They move on. We wish them all well. We said at the start that once a Mariner, always a Mariner. We're always supporting people wherever they go. But a new group come in, and you get the feeling it's going to be a different feel around the team this year. Just from where you've been, obviously you've been around them and sort of seeing it from a different position. But what feels a little bit different with this team, do you think, from last year?
Yeah, I think the girls that have come in with a good attitude, and they're here to kind of prove themselves, and almost with a challenge to make the squad better. We obviously achieved more than what anyone really expected of us last year. So I think, especially the girls that have been in the league before, they know that we've got that kind of standard now, and we've got the expectation on us. So they know that there's a reason why they're here, and they need to help us step up, kind of thing. So and the girls that have come in from overseas, they're great players, and just watching them in training, it's impressive to see them play. So I think they're going to add massively to our squad. So really excited to see them all put on the kit on the weekend, and hopefully bang in a few goals for us.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it here first. Taryn King predicts that we're going to win the grand final. There's no doubt about that. Taryn, it's been great having a catch up with you. Really appreciate your time. Cannot wait to see you back out there on the park again, but I'm sure we'll see you around the games as well. And speedy recovery, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Beautiful. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, mate.